Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing this beautiful evening? My name is Lawrence Laddie, also known as Mr. International, host of Financial Independence Through Small Multifamily Investing. I live here in the Bronx, New York, home of hip hop, right? Also, I have a two-family here in the Bronx, also with an Airbnb here also. And I'm also looking in the areas of Norfolk, Virginia, the Piedmont Triad area, which is Norfolk, which is Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, and I'm also looking in Huntsville, Alabama. So without further ado, I'm going to just guest speaker straight from Miami. What? M-I-A-M-I, Miami, right?
That's right.
Masha Klapanova coming to you to talk about how freedom through self-storage. Right, so Masha has been, her focus is self-storage. She's not doing nothing else. Check out her focus is self-storage. So Masha, thank you, Masha, for coming. I appreciate you coming on, being a guest on Financial Independence Through Small Multifamily Investing. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for such an amazing introduction, seeing all this amazing familiar and unfamiliar faces. So I want to disappoint you guys a little bit. I'm not going to be talking about self-storage today. I'm going to be talking about freedom, because I probably would not be doing self-storage if it was not for freedom. So I think many of you, I am passionate about self-storage, but I definitely more passionate about freedom. And many of us probably thinking even just financial freedom, time freedom, but there's just freedom of choosing what we want to do every day. So that's why today I'm talking about how to achieve that freedom through self-storage. And let me share my screen. Boom, 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 boom. Oopsie. Slideshow. You can see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. It's always important question to ask. All right. So that's why, imagine here you're just like in the Freedom Lounge. Okay, here it's maybe it's a meetup. Of course, it's a meetup. It's a webinar, right? In a way, it's a Zoom call. But I like to call it more, it's like a Freedom Lounge. Let's enjoy, sit down comfortably, and let's go on that route. So freedom source self-storage investing. So many of you right away, and especially in the investing world, we think about financial freedom. So let's look at the successful lawyers. They probably have that financial freedom. They make good money, but are they truly free? I don't think so, right? They can't just pick up their, go to website, book a ticket, and fly for 1 month somewhere and forget about the world. They will lose their financial freedom right away. So financial freedom is not enough if you obviously you're attached to the job, or maybe you are just attached to your business, because business sometimes can be not even 9 to 5. It can be from 5 a.m. until 11 p.m. plus weekends, plus holidays. So financial freedom sometimes is not the most important. Maybe it's time freedom. Time freedom, of course, we all have 24/7. So you can be the most rich person on this planet. You still have 24/7. But having that, whatever you can do with that 24/7, that's a different story. So probably if you have money and you have freedom time, you can achieve already so much. But I think it's also can really go beyond that. And I love this quote, what is freedom is? Freedom is realizing you have a choice. So it's a choice that you can do whatever you want to do, however you want to do, with whoever you want to do, whenever you want to do. So it's a choice. So today, that's why I will be sharing with you my freedom flow formula. It's the F in cube. I'm so extremely passionate about it. And I just think that through this formula, we can get there. But before we talk about how we also get there, and I will be sharing with you 3 ways how you can get involved, it's also why. So why it's actually self-storage, why I'm here, talking why is self-storage can be one of the easiest and the quickest way to get to that freedom. And there is other pathways for sure, but I really cracking the code with self-storage. And this is, if you do something else, this can be applied to any other type of investing, and this will be able to be applied also to any type of business. So let's quickly just talk about why I'm so crazy about this self-storage. So I'll give you 14 reasons why self-storage is amazing. So number one, everybody heard about low management and low maintenance costs. And many of you probably familiar with multifamily. So in self-storage, typically you have 1.5 employees on average, statistically, there is working. So that's how it looks like, 1.5 person. So sometimes in our properties, we don't have even at all employees. We just have boots on the ground. We have virtual assistants. We have call centers in place. So we don't even need employees. So to compare to multifamily, you have an average 5.5 person. So what does it mean? So much more management. So you have to really take care of these people, making sure that they're not making any errors. And it can become hectic, and paying all those salaries and benefits, of course. So what does it mean to business? Obviously, when you reduce that human error, you reduce like those mistakes that can make you less salaries and benefits, you decrease expenses, increase cash flow, increase value, and of course, your returns go up. So number one. Number two reason is that tenant landlord laws is, of course, evictions is not exciting part of the any real estate investing. However, with self-storage, we don't have to deal with that, luckily, because our lease terms are only 1 month to month. So after 1 month, someone is not paying you, you're starting the auction process, and at auction process, then you can kick them out. Depending on a state, somewhere it's different. And after you kick them out, you don't have to pay broker fee to find you some other tenant or an agent. So it's the turnover cost, there is no turnover cost. The only turnover cost is really come and sweep that unit and clean up and prepare for next tenant. You've probably seen storage wars. Storage wars are really great, but they're a bit far from reality. Auctions are really just great because we can kick out those non-paying tenants. It's not about making a lot of money on auctions. I've had once the auction didn't sell. They didn't even want to get it for $10. So not even for $10. The highest so far we got was $90. And they were owning like $200. So far we haven't even been able to cover what's there they haven't paid. So finding treasures, it's maybe once in the blue moon. So keep watching, enjoy the storage wars. They're just fun, entertaining thing, but far from reality. So it brings to my next point. Next point, it's the very sticky customers. So how many tenants, and I actually talked to my friend was saying, oh yes, I know what you're talking about. I came to storage for like 2 months. I ended up staying there 7 months. So the perceived versus actual stay, it's so different. They think they will be staying for one amount of time and they end up staying much longer. And that's why we call them sticky tenants. And that's why when you even for them to go rent a truck, if they don't have a big truck, move all that stuff, it's a whole hustle. So that manner, it also helps us increase those rents. So if you look at it, I have one tenant. It's when we purchased our last facility in Texas. The tenant is from 1992. So they've been there for 30 years. I don't know what type of treasures they're staying there, but how much they've been paying there and having whatever they're holding there, it's incredible. And I've heard there's people staying so much longer than that. So it's nice to have this sticky factor in place. Flexible lease terms is obviously we have only 1 month payment or 1 month of leases. So next month you can increase that rate. And we're not doing every month. Typically you do it between like 6 to 9 months. But when you come into self-storage and you know there's so much demand for particular size, you can increase that rate. You can send out those letters. We right now send out 70% of our renters rent increases, and we're allowed to do it. So flexible lease terms helps out. We don't have to wait until the contract after 1 year finishes. And dynamic and static pricing strategy. You've probably known about, you go buy a ticket to go to travel somewhere, and the next day you check the ticket and it's the price change. Why? Because demand, supply. And typically with self-storage, it doesn't happen like you can go right the next day and it's changing. It's not as quickly, it's not changing as quick, it's not as dynamic, but we look at what's going on at our facility and what's going on in other facilities as well. So when we were buying our last property in Texas, I was looking and doing the mystery shopping. I've seen that there's much more demand for larger units, and there was a much more availability of smaller size. So I understand that when we come in, it will be easier for us to increase and really bump those prices up for large units, because you can't find a lot in the market. However, smaller sizes, even though we were pretty much full and we still have some room for rent increase in the market, there is a bit too much supply of small units. So that's why that you can play around and you can really maximize your profit with that type of strategies. Now I want to compare again. Sorry, I'm not diminishing in any way multifamily. I love actually multifamily, but it's kind of cool always to compare one side to another. So how much you really making statistically in storage and multifamily? It's in storage, you make 10 cents per square foot more. And you wonder, how come apartments can be selling for less? It's just because of the size. You have small units like 5 by 5, 5 by 10. Per square foot, you look much more money than when you rent out 10 by 20, 10 by 30. So the smaller the size, the more per square foot you make money. So that's why even self-storage, you actually statistically, you make more per square foot. So if you, took the same size of multifamily and self-storage, with self-storage, you actually will make more money. Again, on average statistically. Again, expense ratio. So the typical expense ratio of storage is about 30%. I underwrite it at 35, sometimes at 33. On our first facility, we have 26. So when I underwrote it at 35 and we're getting like 27, yeah, our investors and my partners are really happy. So it's really how much you can save, but obviously also at the same time not sacrifice your asset. So you already in multifamily 50%, you just give away on expenses, where with self-storage you're getting there 70%. And on top of it, sometimes I see people think that there's not so much self-storage out there. But if you compare it unit-wise, again, storage is a winner here. There's over 25 million, and this is like really rough number, but over 25 million units of self-storage than compared to even single family. Of course, it's because storage has such a small units like 5 by 5s, and there's even 10 by 20s. You compare to apartment size, so much smaller. So there's more units of storage in the United States. But the funny part, and this is something that still blows my mind, is how many times a day you drive around and you see Wendy's, you see Starbucks, you see McDonald's, and you see KFC, Pizza Hut. No, KFC not here. Yes, I forgot what is that name. But anyways, all of those fast food and plus Starbucks, there is less of them. There's less of them than self-storage in United States, all of them combined. And how many times you passing by and see McDonald's, you're seeing Starbucks. Those are just incredible amount of them. And there's less of them than storage. So how many there are opportunities? And just we'll talk about a few statistics, obviously more historical based statistics that so storage can really, competes really well with other asset classes. So it has high returns, which is over 17%, and we're talking about 1994 and 2017. Then if we talk about recession resistance and virus resistance, I'm talking about COVID, during the 2008, 2009 crash, 2010, self-storage just lost a bit. However, during even COVID, self-storage actually was thriving. It's incredible. Maybe in the first couple of months, there was like, people don't know what was going on. But then the occupancy start increasing. The occupancy increases, obviously rents going up. So people start just making more money. People start moving. We know everybody's moving nowadays to different places. So storage is such in high demand. People are downsizing. The baby boomers. This is a kind of trend that not going to stop anytime soon, because baby boomers are just they're downsizing, unfortunately they're dying, they are moving to maybe their kids living, and all their stuff they're getting to be stored somewhere. So, and many other factors as well. So self-storage been booming. It's definitely not going to keep going like that. It should slow down at some point. But I mean, those stats just so much obviously motivating and exciting when you look at them. And again, and even lower default date, this is from 2018, for storage to fail and to go bankrupt, it's just such a slight chance. So again, you got to, so that's why when you have low default rate, banks loving it. So you got a high leverage with SBA, you can, the Small Business Administration, you can get 85% LTV. And even with, if obviously default rate is low, investors also love it. You know, there's lower risk, and as we talk, high returns, it just does the job. And also regarding opportunities of talking about how many are there. In multifamily, we're talking of 50 plus units here. I was trying to get other statistics on all general multifamily. I could not, so I was able to get for a 50 plus unit. There's about 7% of individual operators. All other are already owned by bigger institutional players. About what 93% are big institutional players. Where with self-storage, you still have about 50%. And I think this already numbers been lowering because so many people start allowing self-storage. This is still pretty recent stats. That was like 1 year ago, I believe, or max 2 years ago, the 50%, 52%. So those run by mom and pop gives you so many opportunities for value add. And this is where I'm going to be speaking to you, low cost value adds. So when you find some storages, like in our last one, they were still coming in and signing leases in person. How ridiculous is this? Just removing this hassle and let people just sign from their phone creates less hassle for everyone. And just putting proper management, putting technology in place, putting proper marketing. Some of them don't even put their listing on Google, and how people find units, I mean, self-storage nowadays. And I will be speaking about it a little bit later. So there's great low cost value adds, except, I mean, one also great value add is adding more units. So you can actually put even parking spots, which is pretty much free. Like on our first property, we were planning to do expansion, and we decided to not do that because the steel prices went up and that market is not such a high income market. So we just, what else we can do with that space? So now we're actually putting a great parking spots for people, and we're planning maybe potentially putting the canopies there so we can do covered parking. So there's always opportunities. And plenty of facility incomes. Number one is, of course, like I said, parking, boat and RV storage. It's either you can call parking on storage. So another way is, we're putting up still a lot of fees. I have tenants that just, they love paying, we charge $15 per month. So for a late fee, and then you have also lockout fee, you have lien fee, you have auction fee. So you can put a bunch of those fees. Obviously, you don't want to get the auction fee because it's already people potentially not going to be paying that. but sometimes they're just constantly paying that additional $15 every month. It's just their habit. So another way great is, I know some people have like cell towers or billboards. You don't have to do anything with that. You just put a cell tower, and I mean, you don't even put it, they put it for you, a billboard, and you can get that $1,000, $2,000, depending where you are located, additional of income without doing anything about it. And then we have also tenant insurance, but I'm not going to be getting into this. So many ways you can look at what's there's demand in that market, and you can put even whatever, like a notarious office. Some people even put some salons. If they want to make some additional income, they can always add that. So this comes back to actually end of all the reasons why self-storage is a great asset class, but it's awesome. Thank you, Masha, for sharing why, but really, let's talk about how, let's go back to really how we can all get it done. This is where I'm going to be this throughout the presentation, sharing with you 3 ways how you can get involved, but also I will be sharing with you how to free yourself and how to work less in business and work more on business. Because even if you're not in real estate investing, it's still a business. And self-storage particularly, it is a business. So it just has opportunities also of an asset of taking those tax advantages, right? Like depreciation and doing the cost segregation, then lowering everybody's taxable income. So I'm going to be talking about the Freedom Free formula, and it stands for, it's CEDAR. So S for systemization, E for elimination, A for automation, D for delegation, E for empowerment, and all repeat. So let's get started. So as for systemization, you probably guys heard, maybe it's kind of maybe boring for you or systems, but really I get so excited about systems, because really a system, or we call it process to A to Z, or a workflow, is really how to get to your goal, how to get to that result. And there is a process which we sometimes overlook, and we just get to just do that. We just do sometimes things. Why they say spend time planning and then doing it. So really to get to that Z, there's a step that you take, A, B, C, D, E, F, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to your Z. So how do you get there? And most people don't even write them down. So, and there's so many processes that we just get caught up on doing. I still get caught up on doing them. And we forget sometimes, are we doing it efficiently? Are we doing it the most efficient way? An example of this processes, let's say in self-storage, or just self-storage investing, is an acquisition process, finding deal process, funding. And some of them actually, there's several processes within it. Marketing, and it can be marketing of self-storage itself when you already own one, or how you market your own self. Like how do you show up, your branding, right? The follow-up process. This is my number one challenge right now, and I am putting actually a proper system in place right now, and you will see, I'll talk about it. It's making sure that I get back to everybody on time, that I am being my word to everyone, and I am also following up. So obviously right now, being on LinkedIn and being all over social media, speaking in all these conferences and loving talking to people and connecting with people, it's definitely the inbox getting super full. So I'm right now challenged how to systemize that and making that as fluid and less stressful for me, and making sure again that I get back and I follow up with everybody who needs to. And we get an auction process, as we talked about it. And there's so many other processes. So there's tools. You don't need to just have it in your head, because sometimes having it in your head, it's not the best place to store things. I store my processes in Asana. There's other great project management, however you can call it. I think it's not just a project management. Asana is managing my business. It's actually, there's all the systems are there. all the people that I'm working with, my virtual assistants, my boots on the ground, the facility caretakers, some of my partners are there, some of my collaborators. So all of that is just, it's a place, internal place where we have all the processes are there. And yes, so sometimes it's important, they're coming to back to my freedom flow formula. Then when we set up that system, we have to do next step is E, eliminate. And this can be like actually kind of the hardest step, but maybe the most important. Why? Because eliminating is the cheapest way that you can assist in your business. Sometimes we tend to do so much, and maybe at this point it's not the most important. So knowing how to eliminate it could be the toughest, because we get to be so busy nowadays, and I hate to be busy and instead of being productive. So how to avoid being so busy and doing everything is having that process in place. You have the process, and then you really analyze and you go through that and look, is this everything I need to be doing? Or maybe there's this step we actually can avoid. It's not necessary, it doesn't take us, it doesn't move that needle further to get to our result. So you analyze and removing those unnecessary steps. And our time is money. Time is money. So how can you eliminate to reduce that, not only it's time, but your effort, your energy that you're going to put in. So another way, so one of the ways that you can get involved is simply invest passively, because you don't have to put much effort and much time. So starting out, especially if you're first time maybe investing, especially in self-storage, I invested first time passively. And I didn't do it just to not only to get involved, or not only to get that first check every quarter, that's not by not doing anything, just receiving this free money in a way. I was also learning from behind the scenes. I asked that syndicator if he will be, and he was somebody who I knew. He wasn't some big syndicator, it was somebody down to earth, and I was be able to speak. And I asked him, can I like a little bit peek behind and see what you're doing there? So when I do my first active project, I know what to do. And I invested like that. And it was the greatest experience. So one way obviously to get involved is invest passively. So after coming back to my freedom formula is, if you eliminate the steps, sometimes you can't. So the other next cheapest way is automated, obviously. So automation, technology. So we're humans, okay? We tend to make errors. And sometimes it could be by mistake, and sometimes, unfortunately, on purpose. So people steal, people will take advantage. So how can you reduce by less controlling people? Sometimes managing too much people can be definitely overwhelming. How can you just automate using some technology? So with self-storage, we have, example, kiosks. So you don't have to have a property manager. They're sitting all day, picking in their nose that they don't know what they're doing there, like all day long. You can get a kiosk, and kiosk is great. They cost efficient, but sometimes you don't even need a kiosk because people already have their own little kiosks on their phone. And you can just go to Google, search for storage near me, and you will find a website. You go rent, press the rent, choose whatever, put in this card, blah, blah, blah. There's no human involved. It's all automated. They get the code. So when you get the code, then they can enter the facility. So they come in, or sometimes it can be a Bluetooth already. So you can just with your phone, open that gate. And after you enter, there sometimes can be units that even Bluetooth connected. So you don't need, there is no human involved, which makes tenants' life easier and us owners' life much easier and cheaper. It's cheaper to put that technology in place than having someone controlling all that type of processes. So yeah, and even like the storage, the auctions, right now we are using, we don't do even, it's so actually boring, the auction, it's happening online. We don't do in person. There's no people coming and trying to bid. Oh, there's none of that's happening. It's all, we just put our auction online. There's some people that bid on that. And then that's it. My facility caretaker contacts the person who won. He gets the money. The person's supposed to clean out the stuff, clean out the unit. That's it. It's process already pretty much also automated. And even like dynamic, I was earlier speaking with you, the dynamic static pricing, putting the proper place software and spreadsheet, you can find out, and using external softwares, you can find out what is that best pricing for your units. So technology can do so much, but sometimes technology is still not the best. It's actually, sometimes we don't have completely robots at controlling. We have to delegate. And number one person who I delegated was boots on the ground. And they're not there all day long. They're there a couple times a week, coming to check on facility. They're our eyes, they're our boots. They're there checking on the facility and doing, that's why they call facility caretakers. They take care of it. And who is managing the facility? Now I actually recently stopped in a way, some of the self-management. And I have a virtual assistant right now helping me so far. I'm soon completely going to delegate it to her. I could have gotten a property manager, or maybe I could have gone to a company who already has trained, but I haven't really heard that people really doing so much virtual management. So they usually have in-person people there doing that, but there's no need. You have a software in place, you have cameras, you have automatic gate, and then you have that boots on the ground who you can instruct how to get some things done. So that's been incredible so far system that's I've been improving. And talking about virtual assistants, so at this moment, I have 2 virtual assistants who help me with the acquisition process and over the deal flow, analyzing deals for me, getting data, getting research, and then 2 of them are, one is high level, another one is a lower level. Another one for media, for actually social media. She's helping me to create some of the graphics, find some inspiration for me, find some, edit my videos. So she's helping me with that. And another one I have, she is actually now property manager. She's also doing now helping me with bookkeeping. And she's also actually my right hand. So whenever I have something, I just delegate it to her. And this is I started, my first one was in September. She was only working 5 hours a week. She was helping me to input data on a spreadsheet. That's it. Because I was finding all those deals. And whenever all those deals, and they even from brokers, wholesalers, so they all, like, the information is all scattered and it doesn't really work for my underwriting model. So she will put for me that information on my spreadsheet and then do some simple market research. And then bit by bit, today, how many months is it? Like 6 months, 7 months after, I have right now 4 virtual assistants. And the goal by the end of this year to have 2 deal flow, 3 for media. So actually someone helping me to actually create content beyond just like little edits here and there, probably separately video editor and graphic designer. It's 2 different things. So this is for media. Obviously having a separate person for just managing, because bringing together managing, bookkeeper, and right hand is not smart. So really separating those 3, it's a much smarter strategy. Because they should be the best. One person can be really the best at managing and booking and being that right hand assistant. So really finding those best skilled for managing, best skill for as a right hand, best skill for bookkeeper. But it's not it. What's now, all of that sounds like what? So much hustle. Now I'm managing all those people. Oh my God. Yes, it is already, for me, it becomes a little hustle managing and all of those that I have 4 right now. But that's why soon I will have also an executive virtual assistant. So that virtual assistant that's going to be managing all these virtual assistants. So that's really the goal, which will again minimize and free me up. And the last one is E for empowerment. So sometimes we can't just hire out someone, and it needs to be a more expensive way, which actually getting a partner. So you can sometimes just delegate to someone. They would probably want to have some stake in that investment or having that stake in a business. So that's why sometimes you can't just delegate and train someone how to do. You just find someone else to help you out to succeed together. And that's why it's so important to do a SWOT analysis, not of your business. I mean, of your business is important, but also of yourself, and know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know what opportunities you have and what like type of threats you have, right? I mean, for me, it's definitely being so much open-minded and knowing those was so much helpful to know what to look into my partners. And let's give an example, like weaknesses. I feel like weaknesses, everybody just don't like to talk about them. They hide their weaknesses. The people can tend to hide or not talk about them. And what happens, let's compare it. In some romantic relationship, you just, I mean, let's say Jenny met Steve, and Steve is just all showing his amazing sides, right? He loves that, and he loves this, and he loves about her that, and then he loves about her this, and it's all beautiful for a couple of months until she starts discovering that the chicken that she cooks for him, he actually hates. And that's just not gonna, in the beginning, she thought she was cooking his chicken. He was pretending that he loves his chicken, but he actually doesn't like it. And what happens? They may break up because of that chicken, because he didn't show his true bad side of it. Not bad, but he didn't express himself truly. He actually doesn't like. Or maybe he should even put some, I don't know, peanuts in that chicken, and he actually have some allergy. So he did not show his, so he could have even kill him. So because he didn't want to tell her, because he's trying to show. So what happens in partnership, that we come in and we try to show our best, and of course it's great to show our best, but be upfront with what you're not the best. And for me, it was definitely, I mean, I had to own what I'm not good at and being 100% responsible for that. So for me, I'm not so handy. Like, I haven't done flipping projects myself. I can do some really basic things, but I can't. So when we bought with my partners, I knew my partners had extensive experience actually in flipping. So when we show, I underwrote the deals, I prepared the business plan, I found this, I mean, I did pretty much everything, but I knew if I come there and we need to figure out how to fix some things and what exactly to do, I'm not going to be the right person. So my partners, I remember I came to the facility and I'm like an idiot standing there. Oh my God. I mean, I don't really know what to do, but that's what they were there for. You know, we had to had to figure out something last minute. They were there to figure out. And on top of that, maybe they were able, maybe they didn't have to do it, but they had a maintenance person to help them out, and they were able to guide him, where I would not be able to guide him. I would have to actually trust that maintenance person how to fix those things. So owning your weaknesses, it's amazing. So you can find your you can find partners who have your weaknesses as their strengths. So another example would be where, where I failed is when I did a partner and was planning to do a construction project with somebody who has a construction experience. So Masha decided to just learn all herself and build a storage. So this was my first drawing of what expansion project we wanted to do. Obviously, great. I get great experience. Further down along, I got more complex, and I was figuring out how to make more complex. But what happened that it took us 5 months to realize that this project was not so much making sense to build there. because the income was too low for no, let me tell you, it totally can make sense, but just the returns, we could put their money somewhere else. We're going to make higher returns. So for us, it took me 5 months to figure out how, and if I had partners that had experience with that, I would not have to go through 5 months of that. So now when I'm looking at opportunities, which is, look at this property. What does it look to you? Doesn't really look like a typical storage. This is actually probably been converted from some Kmart or maybe Walmart or some grocery stores, because storages, they don't build like that. But what happens that I want to be looking at the conversion project. So someone knew that this Kmart was bankrupt. They took this, they offered that they can convert it in self-storage, and they will be able to minimize their cost, minimize their timing compared to development, and also being able to get into the market that's so much make sense, and that they would not be able just to build or buy a new facility. So I'm actually looking into empty retail spaces, could be even warehouses sometimes if it's in the proper location. And I'm not gonna just do it myself and figure it out myself. I will get a partner, and I have already a couple people that I know I can find this project and propose it to someone who has experience, a partner on that. So another way to get involved is, of course, find a deal or partner with someone else on a deal. So meaning you may know, let's say you've been passing by this old Kmart or old Sears or some other place that's been standing there empty, and you don't really know, like, now you're like, oh, true. Let me actually talk to Masha. And some echo came in. Lawrence? Okay, someone, okay, perfect. You muted someone. Thank you. And so you may, you can contact me and say, hey, Masha, I think I know about this property that's been sitting there empty. What we can do about it? And if you live in this area, this is going to be perfect, because you could be potential that partner. It could be that local partner, and you can find out more information, and you can be that deal finder partner. So you never know. You never know. So self-storage is, if you ever considered to doing self-storage, or you've been just kind of exploring other asset classes, you may even have like a great wholesaler, let's say, that's been sending you deals, and then once randomly he sends you even self-storage. So you don't know exactly what to do. You say, oh, Masha, I would love to give in self-storage. I think this is some unique opportunity, and you never know what can happen from that. So another way to get involved, of course, is just to partner on a deal. So this was a freedom flow formula of, obviously the last part that I did not say, it was the R, which is just repeat. It's constantly going through the process, right, of putting systems in place, really writing it down, and even better if you have some software that can be so much effectively used, not only by you, but also with your team, especially if you have virtual team. Asana built such an integral part for me to working with virtual assistants. We all work together, we assign tasks, we put due dates. It's all just so amazingly fluid. So obviously, after you put your system in place, look at what you can eliminate. It's the cheapest way. Then automate, delegate, and get empowerment, and repeat that. And it's so beautiful, because this is where we can really get to that, freedom. Really, this is when you're going through that process, how much of that you end up doing yourself? How much of you are still left of those tasks? Because if you already eliminated, you have technology, you have other people that you hired that go and do, other people that you partnered, you may be left with just tiny bit of tasks to do at some point. So I'm constantly going through this process, and now I'm releasing. And I think the hardest part for many people is really release that. So at the same time, it's been taking me over 2 years to build all this. And I've been a lot stuck in the paralysis by analysis, a lot, because it's getting information, like everything what I've shared with you. It's not like I've come up obviously with it. I've learned here, I grab here, there, here. This one taught me, this coached me, this person mentored me, this person shared with me. I read here, I listened. So right, it's all been combined together. So if you are interested, and there's also another way to always get learned is to get a coach or get a mentor, instead of trying to figure it out. Like putting that system in place took a lot of time, and it's you gotta be so tenacious and determined to get there. But it's all possible. It's really not a rocket science. And definitely, remember to be lazy, but be strategically lazy. When you get some tasks that you're doing and you become already so lazy doing it, look into it. Maybe that's the task that you're already getting bored about, that it's time to delegate it to someone. For me, an example of my first task was giving my assistant to input data from whatever listings I would get into my spreadsheet, because I was start becoming horrible at it. Because I just couldn't focus I was becoming lazy. I didn't want to do it. So I was like, okay, this is time for someone else to do this. Inputting data, just really copying, pasting, copying, pasting. I was just so lazy. So being strategically lazy instead of just not getting it done properly, I right away automate it. And let me tell you, I just want to tell you a real message so that you can get that proven system that can be easily, quickly implemented. So you can really create a passive income and generational wealth with minimum management and minimum maintenance. And your money will make you money while you're asleep, or sipping margarita on an island, or I don't know, whatever you like to sip, on whatever you want to sip, you can get there. It's not as hard as it could sound. So I want to say thank you for coming to the Freedom Lounge, a great meetup by Lawrence, who put this together and let me allow to share with you. Thank you. And yes, I'm excited to answer any questions whoever anybody has.
First of all, Masha, I would say thank you. Wonderful presentation. Can you please stop sharing the screen so we can?
Of course.
Thank you. So we have Kofi. Go ahead, Kofi, with a question.
Oh, Kofi.
Yes. Hey, how's it going, Masha?
Hey, how you doing? Doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, phenomenal. Thank you for the presentation today. It was very informative. So I had a question. So you had mentioned that like there's a lot of, self-storages out there that like are not necessarily being advertised on the internet. They don't have a lot of, just like marketing, all those different things they're not doing. So is there like any type of, because I feel like that'd be a great opportunity to invest into. Is there any kind of database to find storages like that may not be advertised, that we can like, be looking into, to possibly?
Yeah, there is a lot. There's listings, obviously, that you can always get. Thank you, Delcy. Thank you. Glad it was informative. Yes. I'll be honest with you, like straightforward, how not to find those storages that are not advertised is to look for not advertised storages. So yes, so it's, right now my virtual assistants are really going on a map on a Google and looking for those storages that really doing a poor job on market themselves. So they're building actually a list for me. We're looking at, bad reviews. If they're having bad reviews, that's a simple example, bad reviews on Google. This is just an opportunity. It means that they're really not doing the right job. Or maybe they have no reviews too. So, and having no reviews also means that they're not doing anything to increase those revenue. It doesn't mean that they're going to sell you this property, but there's more likely that you have that value add opportunity because probably their neighbors, their competitors, they're actually having good reviews. So let me ask you, if you are on Google and you're looking to where to rent a storage and you have storage that has good reviews, several, and the one that doesn't have, obviously you're going to choose the one that has good reviews. So how many people losing that? So just really fixing that when you're buying a property and fixing that and increasing revenues, you just increasing your you can increase your occupancy, then you can bump your rates, increase the value, and then of course everything is just raised up and up and up. So really just really not advertised. This is a one-way tool. Besides how many people just finding listings, I mean buying those lists, there's always this list that you can get. I don't really like it. I personally like to build it this way.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think that's a massive like opportunity for a value add when they're just not advertising, they're not doing the right things, because it could be a great property, but just they're not, putting themselves out there. So thank you for that. Really
Of course. And yeah, and there could be it's not about rehab, right? I would say a lot in residential multifamily world, it's a lot about finding something that's worn down, has not been upgraded. In storage, in our first property, it was already clean property. Like there's not much updates you could do. They only had fake cameras there, like those dummy cameras. So we put the real cameras because that's actually a problem with could be with real problem with the lawsuit, putting fake cameras. So that was really the value add. But other than that, there was a clean property, and we really just came in and put some systems in place, put some proper more marketing, and that's it. It was pretty, like money wise, it was not much to invest in the value add component.
Nice, thank you.
No problem. Yes, you're welcome.
Serafina, go ahead, Serafina.
Hi. So when you approach, because I've been thinking about this, about approaching a property that you feel is a good value add opportunity. I've been eyeing one up in my area, but are there any recommendations or suggestions on scripting or like how to bring up that conversation to someone you don't know? Do you feel like, I was thinking I would like maybe introduce myself to the owner if possible and say, I'm interested in self-storage. Would you be able to teach me some things? I'd really like to learn the business, establish a relationship, and then try to bring it up at another time? Or is that like a waste of time to try to, how long do you establish a relationship? Like any recommendations on how to bring up that conversation?
Oh, yes. I mean, definitely being straightforward is number one thing. You don't want, I mean, nobody likes nowadays to be a wasted time, right? But it's so much, it's really building their rapport. Like it's completely self-storage owners are similar to small multifamily owners, especially if you're buying a mom and pop. It's probably been their business for a while. So it's like their baby. So you really want to approach, I mean, first of all, the advantage, if you can really get to approach them in person, you're already winning compared to all other people who ever maybe sending letters or doing cold call. So really, if you can just come and say, hey, being like, get to their level and in a way, hey, no, I'm really like, I'm looking right now for some great opportunities and you probably looks so amazing, I mean, whatever, like something, say like, I would be so interested. Have you ever thought of selling it? That's it. And, obviously you want to be straightforward with them, but be the down to earth person. And I think it's really applies of same way you're finding multifamily. It's just the only difference is more probably this maybe been their business. Some of them still work in their office and discovering what their true why is, like if what do they want with their life. Do they want to maybe do like a owner financing where they would like to retire and just have still that income without hustle of managing property, because they're more likely don't have a virtual assistant and call center in place, so they're still doing all that stuff or having a manager doing, and they're losing all this income. So I think just really come there being typically just being true yourself, authentic and nice can show. And you don't even have to, you can always, well, I have some other partner who is more experienced, but I want to be, so they will be more willing to actually help you, I think.
Mhm.
And if you're going to show up as this big investor, you're winning there as your personality and yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yannick.
Hey, yeah, I had two questions. Can we go a little bit deeper into the market analysis? When you're analyzing, self-storage opportunities, kind of what you guys are looking for specifically that would let, an operator know, we're going into a good market, right? Let's talk about like a supply and demand threshold. And then the second question was you mentioned SBA financing. Can you elaborate a little bit more deeper into like the financing context or how, like what options are out there outside of the SBA as well?
Most definitely. So market analysis. So, and like you said, number one thing compared to other asset classes with self-storage is doing the supply demand. And the best way, number one way to really get that feel, you want to get that feel of occupancy in the market. Like, how are the competitors doing? Are they struggling to fill up their units, or are they pretty much full and they have such a high demand? So by doing it, it's doing the mystery shopping, is really picking up that phone and calling them and trying to rent a unit. And there's different strategies on how you can be like doing it, but you're really just renting a unit and you want to find out, are they offering you a bunch of discounts? Like, oh, we're going to give you, get this one, get to second month free, or get 50 off, or whatever. Like if they're giving you this discount, you have to be more cautious. If they're telling you, oh, we only have 5 by 10 available, maybe next week we're going to have 10 by 20 available, you're like, oh, this is like, they only have this available. And then you obviously don't check by one competitor, you calling several, and you're seeing the trend. Like I don't own my other facility, the second one that we acquired, I was doing mystery shopping, and I discovered that it's hard to find large size of unit. Like if someone comes and wants to need a large unit size, it's really difficult to find it in the market. So what did it mean to me? It meant to me, oh, there's opportunity. There's opportunity there. So it means we can definitely raise our rents, and I'm not going to come to market and struggle trying to fill up the units with the tenants. So really, number one thing, is picking up that phone and call those competitors. I don't do that anymore. I have my virtual assistant is actually doing that, so thankful. But actually, in the beginning, I truly enjoyed it and getting that feel. But then I trained her how to, like, there's in a way little strategies how you can take out more information as much as possible. So did I answer well your first question?
Yes.
And your name is Yannick, right? Yannick?
Yeah. My second question was around the financing, SBA
Yes.
and financing.
So SBA is the great financing funding option. You can get the highest leverage. Typically, it's like I said, you can get up to 90% actually. Not only 85, 90%. So if you're buying facility at $1 million, you just have to invest $100,000. Plus, obviously, you have fee, like all the fees, whatever fees, and SBA fees are higher than you would pay on regular bank, because now you're involved with basically a government and a bank, right? So you're paying much more. Not much more, but depending fees. It's also depending which lender you will go. So it's also the process is longer. So the process is longer, and if you're strained on time buying a property, the SBA is not an option because it does take longer than regular financing, also depending on the time of the market. So time is critical there. Another thing is there are some areas there are some requirements that don't have an other. They're less flexible. Obviously, they have like some strict things, like you gotta have this, and you don't have it, it doesn't work. At the same time, you can qualify without experience in a way if you give all the proof, if you have an amazing business plan in place, and you could come in and purchase this without experience. So they give you more kind of opportunity, but at the same time, they're very strict with their criteria in a way. So it's always great to explore, but just be careful, especially with timing. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, I forgot also to share, if anybody wants to take this conversation further down along, you can always email me. Let me show you, let me share with you my email address. I also actually have a survey that you can fill out if you're still like kind of in position of what, like, were you trying to discover what type of self-storage? I mean, actually, this is, I think, it's what type of investor, in which way, what is your weaknesses and what you're still trying to understand. So that's a great survey where I can also learn a little bit more about you. And if you guys, I mean, of course, interested, you already know what you want to do. I have obviously passive investing opportunities always that come up, as well as coaching opportunities. If you really serious about it and you want to become a self-storage investor and buy your first facility and get that freedom, I'll be more than happy to talk to you and see how we can I can help you on this journey. Jasmine, tell me, please.
Yes. Hey. So one of the questions you kind of answered with the determining the market and seeing what's good, you know, calling around to the actual self-storage and facilities around the area and seeing what their rates are, it sounds like there have been people who have done some sort of automated market analysis, and it comes up with some percentage of what the, you know, the percentage of storage is per person within the area or whatever. Now, I don't know exactly how accurate that is. It seems like it's kind of not, because
that's why I didn't bring it up.
Okay, well, and so that's what I was telling you, because of the same thing that I sent you information on. Someone was saying that they were seeing that the market was kind of oversaturated, and I was like, well, no, because I've called all the places around there and they're all fairly full and they're giving me their rates. We're all below the market rates or whatever, so it's fine. But then I know that when my husband was actually marketing to self-storage, there's some code for storage, but then all types of storage came up, like warehouses, carpet companies, and all of these things. So it seems like, you know, maybe that formula or that system or whatever is using more than just self-storage. That's what I told him, because I said, it doesn't sound right just because of me calling physically and seeing what's in the area. But I just am not familiar with that software to kind of know, like, that's definitely what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not a software. I mean, in a way, it's simple calculation. You can do it in this, like your Google Maps and spreadsheet. It's really measure. I mean, you need to have some data. You need to you measure it by radius. And I used to do it. I completely stopped doing it. Not even asking my virtual assistants to do it. You can go and measure, like, let's say in 3 mile radius, depending, usually in self-storage for your demand. And Yannick, this is also like when you're calling, you look at the 3 mile radius or 5 mile radius, depending on your market. And this is where you want to get your competitors. And then you measure with the Google, you can measure their size. So you you can right click on a Google map and measure and get the size of self-storage. Okay. And then you sum it all up. You get the number. And after you get the number, you want to get the population of that radius. So when you get, there's a place where you can get a website, and I can share that website. I have to find it. Yeah, I'm looking for it right now, but okay. You can find there's how much population of that radius, and then you divide it. So you have I don't know, that many 200,000 square feet of self-storage, and then you have 50,000 of people population, divide by that. I don't know what it is exactly. And you're supposed to get, like, if you get something below 7, it means you're in a market that there's not enough supply. If you're above. However, this rule has been many times broken. It doesn't really support. On our second facility, it's also, we have high demand, and we have 15, so it's double, and we're really doing fine. So you have to be careful. Some people take it strictly. I think more in development world, you have to watch out when you're building, because it will take time to, after you build, you want to be in a more safe spot. When you position, be safe. I really think calling competitors and getting the feel of the competition, you can really find out what's going on in the market.
Got it.
And there's also a software that not perfectly does a lot of this calculation. It's a paid software which is called radiusplus.com. You can get a lot of that information there, but it's just not so accurate. So you just have to be careful. Like if you're just doing quick preliminary analysis, it's great. But if you're taking more seriously, do your own research, of course.
Gotcha.
Yes, Safrina.
A quick question. Have you heard or are familiar with people doing specific storage types like gun storage, maybe like safe deposit boxes, wine storage, like some of those like really specific niches? Have you heard of people kind of getting into those?
Yes,
Or
definitely. Yeah, wine storage. There was a cold wine storages. Well, in particular, sorry, like cold storages for some people. That like freezing, in a way, freezing level. I've heard. So there is also like bought an RV, as I was saying, that's specific, and there's actually more valet style, like upscale bought an RV parking, where you have actually people. There's a lot of liability there that you come in and they park your vehicle. So that's also actually type of storage. And there is also, how to say, storages that people sometimes manage in a way a little bit. They have like their repair shops. So it's the kind of a store. So you have a combination of storages, and then they have some kind of business storages where people handle some, a little bit of their business. And again, also another market for being just self-storage is for business owners with Amazon, like people who are like doing how you call those, like the product selling online, where they can store all that stuff. Many times instead of storing it at home, they have a storage facility, and they have probably maybe a worker that works, and they're going to come in and pick up and use their stuff. So that's that's, but never heard about gun storage, for sure. Never heard about the gun storage.
or secure documents or something.
So
People
yeah,
might.
secured. I mean, we have on our first facility, we have that's a care center. They have about 4 units where they store clients' data. That they, I think they can throw it away for many years. So they're storing it all over there.
Business or service at the end, we'll have everybody line up over here.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a different type of storages, and you can niche out, but I think storage is already pretty niche. I think the typical two options is doing the self storage or bought an RV storage.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Question, can you go a little bit deeper into like the due diligence process that you guys go through in the self-storage space? I know in multifamily, like, you know, we scope the sewer lines, or we're looking for aluminum wiring, but like what does the due diligence process look like? Like
what is all that you said right now? No, we didn't do none of that. So that's the beautiful part. That, I mean, we don't, the inspection, I mean, we hire both times, like simple inspection. I mean, especially the roof inspection. We don't have like, I'm looking for a climate control facility now, but we both are non-climate controlled. So we didn't even have like inspecting, obviously, all the AC and in regards all to that part. So it's been really mainly as roof. So with that physical due diligence, but it's really mainly the due diligence is looking at documents, right? What's the historical documents, what's been happening in that facility. Obviously, environmental phase 1. I do right away phase 1 to make sure that the property is clean. Obviously, we're doing the title. Again, you will have to verify. There's so many leases. So in our last property, we got additional over a month of time because the seller couldn't provide us all the leases. And there's a lot of leases like leases that you need to verify, make sure they have. So you just simply verify that they're all signed. You check on all that's correct. You want to make sure that the older leases are real leases, that they're not selling you something that's not real, that's the occupancy. So the due diligence is comparatively, physical one is simpler. Like I said, that's because that's why I have low maintenance and low management. In that manner, it helps. But yeah, that's I mean, hope this helps. If you were asking more about the physical, and again, I'm not an expert in physical due diligence. That's why either I have partners that's more understand that, and I have a inspector who does that for us. Actually, that travels half of the United States that can get it done, so that helps, and I can trust him with that. I'd rather pay him a flight for ticket to go travel. But I know I can trust this inspector and he's going to tell me, so I don't have to worry about it. Does it help, Yannick?
No, I appreciate it. I have one more question, but I don't want to hog the
Please,
mic.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't want to. No, it's just I had I guess a question about the I just lost. I'll come back. Sorry.
Don't
Just got
worry.
so much going on right now. My mind is just like, get a self-storage unit.
Yes, you got my contact information. Something pops up later, you can definitely reach out.
I'm going to ask you a question, Masha. You talked about early on, you talked about the 14 ways of, making money in self-storage, right?
So actually more like 14 reasons why.
Right, I'm sorry, 14 reasons.
No, why it's amazing. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So
No worries.
you talking about technology. What is the cost of outfitting, right? Because after you buy this, build this self-storage place, and you want to make it technology, so therefore you have no touches on all except for the technology touches. What is something like that cost? Say I'm not gonna go with different sizes, but say something like a small facility, right? How much does something that cost for a small facility, and what is small to you?
Of course. So first of all, gate, you're putting that automatic gate that you want to have the complete control of who is entering. All your tenants will get the specific code, so you know when the tenant enters, when they leave, and then when they don't pay, that code doesn't work anymore, so they can't get into the facility, right? So the gate is amazing. You can check when, like for the security reasons, and that technology. So obviously, cost. We actually ordered and upgraded what they didn't have that in place for each tenant. So it was $2,000. When we ordered, we realized we don't have proper wiring in place, so we'll have to pay about another $1,500. So then the gate itself, that cost about $2,000. So here you are, about $5,000 to put that automatic gate in place. So that's number one. Obviously, then you have to put security cameras that can cost $10K, $15K, depending, or you can go some cheaper route and just put those like home style, which many people done it, work for them. We actually done it at our first facility, and it cost us like $500. So it just also did a job, where we just was not so excited to spend 15. We didn't know it was fake cameras, so we didn't budget for that. So we just were not too excited to put another 15K to put new cameras. So, and then you have software. Really, it's a lot about software, right? So we have recurring software. They all can be from like $200, $500 a month, depending on what type of, how much sophisticated software you're looking for, right? And then another is like call center. Call center is about $2.50 per unit. So in our Texas facility, we have 140 units. We're paying almost $500 a month. So that was that did that help?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this is the main. Obviously, then you have also those we don't have those Bluetooth also smart locks.
Okay.
Those will go for about like 250 each per unit.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends if it makes for your market, for your type of facility. When you go more upscale, of course, I think this is a great way to put, because what happens that we also something that we're still doing manually is overlocking tenants. So you obviously overlocked them from facility, but then they can still tailgate someone, which is not typical, but they can tailgate and enter, which I mean, sometimes the gates, it's no, but if they're sneaky enough, they can do that, you know, and
Right.
but then they have to also sneak out after someone, make sure that they enter at the same time, if you know what I mean? So it's a challenge, right? If someone really wants it, they can get it done. So it helps. Now we still put, a person comes and puts double lock on the unit. So it means that it's kind of, when they finally pay, you have to remove the lock, you know, so
Right.
it requires this additional hassle while having those Bluetooth locks. You know, you just,
Real
it's all
simple.
automatic.
Right.
Yeah. Plus you don't have hassles. I mean, we had some very smart tenants that one tenant, he come and he cut wrong lock. He wanted to cut his lock. He cut someone else's lock. And then the tenant complained that his lock is cut. So you avoid this type of stupid situation when you have Bluetooth. And
Right.
some people lose their keys and they don't know. So again, Bluetooth definitely helps.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? One more question for Masha, because time is valuable also. Anybody has one last question?
Time is money, right?
Time is money. One last question, going once, going twice. Once again, Masha, thank you for coming. Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming to the Financial Independence for Small Multifamily Investing. Thank you again, Masha, for your time, your knowledge, and experience.